All right. Hello, everybody. Good day. Blab. Uh, shoot. Oh, black girl problems. All right. It's your girl, Hotep Sophia, also known as Dominique Rebel. And we are going to be looking at the headline straight from the Blab timeline. And if you want to know what any of this means, you go to hotepsophia.com. I have the links to Blab TV and my Blab stream and um, where you can see my posts and whatnot. And this is where we just go through the timeline. We see what people are talking about, and that's really the best way to get your news. You follow the right people and you make the right life choices, then you can figure out what's going on. So, of course, it's the new year. Again, I said I'm going to try and do these streams about uh, every Tuesday and Thursday. Try and get them posted before around noon. So it's like 11 something right now. I'm going to try and keep it to about 30 minutes. I am going to set it up to stream from onto YouTube until they ban me. So if you wonder why some of my language is even more coded than normal, I'm going to try not to get banned. We'll see how long that holds up. Um, and again, we just go through the Blab timeline and we see what the news is. Um, and of course, I should recommend everybody join Blab and support the parallel economy and all the great things going on over on the Blab. So let's get ready to I think it's illegal for me to say that. Probably copywritten. Um, let's see. All right, here we go. Now, I can comment on this slightly. So here's the comment. One of these people is a traditional healer, the other is a witch doctor. And if you don't know whom is whom, you are in a lot of trouble right now, okay? Because one of these individuals wishes you to die, and the other one of these individuals wishes you to live. So you can figure out whom is whom, or check out the great meme that I made, which I'm not a meme maker at all. So this is I'm quite proud of these. Um, oh wait, this is the wrong meme. I have one with words on it. Yeesh. I'll have to go back and repost it later. Anyway, one of these people is a healer and one of them is not. You figure out whom is whom. I won't help you with this one. You're gonna have to figure it out. We'll get back to that post later. Okay, so this is great. This is great. So there was like, okay, I'm from the DC area, and I'm hearing that there was like 3 feet of snow in some places. Meanwhile, in sunny Jacksonville, it's sunny. It is cold. It's like 55 degrees, but it is sunny, and we did not get 3 feet of snow. Yikes! Like, it's so funny because every time every time this happens, it's the same exact thing. People are like, oh, I didn't know it was going to snow, I thought the weathermen were lying, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, my old man is up the road right now, and he was like, I thought it was going to snow because it was getting really cold. Like, if you just pay attention to your body, will tell you what's getting ready to happen, which is why I want nothing to do with the DMV area, not no inches of snow, not no feet of snow, not no nothing of snow. So, again, of course, it was like the first day back to work or second day back to work. People were stuck in traffic for hours and hours. These people have learned nothing. They had nothing in their cars, no water, no snacks, no none of that. They were running out of gas. I mean, these people make the same mistakes every single time. You would think one day, these people would realize that maybe, just maybe, I will put a emergency preparedness kit in my car so that I will be able to survive if the snow happens. Like, They never do it. They just never do it. And if you don't know anything about the DC area, people drive a very far distance for work. It's not like, so I notice in Florida, people don't really drive that far for work if they don't have to. They try to either live near where they work, and most areas are pretty decent so that you can do that, or you have people take boats here. I've heard of people flying, all types of different things people do to get around in Florida. But at home, you could live in Manassas and have to work downtown DC, and literally it's 36 miles, but it could take you 3 hours. So if you live in Frederick, which is in the mountains, another thing about the DC area is there's tons of hills, there's tons of mountains. Even if you go through DC, like if you're at the National Mall, it's all flat, but then from there it's uphill. Like literally everything is uphill. So unless you go to Southwest, then it's kind of the same or even a little bit down. But if you're going uptown, anywhere like towards the White House from the National Mall, it's uphill. So you know that you're going to a place full of hills, and yet you're still driving. These people make no sense. I mean, they do this every single time. So, no, I don't feel bad for one single person. They do this every single time. Everyone always knows when the snow is coming. They never believe it. People come from out of town, like further north, Boston or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's just a little bit of snow. It'll be fine. No, because you also have people who come from California who have never driven in snow before. And guess what? They still drive. They don't understand when it snows, stay home in the DC area, okay? Because nobody can drive in the snow. Even if you can drive in the snow, that person in front of you, that person behind you, the person on the sides, they cannot drive. So you are better staying home in the snow than actually going out. And I don't think people have figured that part out yet. So again, you have people stranded, all types of crazy stuff as usual. Um, See, because I-95 is closed in Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg is a mountain. Like, it's all mountains. I talked to my dad yesterday. I guess he must have stayed home from work because he sounded cozy. So I'm guessing he was home. Because people know when it snows, and he's in West Virginia, so he can't. I mean, if it snows, he ain't going nowhere. There's only one way in and one way out in West Virginia. Like either you have to come through Fredericksburg, which I just said is closed, or you have to come through Loudon, which is probably also closed because there's tons of hills there too. So you is not getting through. So the bad thing is my old man is up there. He was supposed to come back home tomorrow and they canceled the Amtrak, so I think he's going to leave on Thursday. Fingers crossed. And if things are looking better, but what happens is, and I like I said, I talked to my old man. What happens is the roads, it melts at the bottom because it wasn't really that cold, so it melted at the bottom, and then what happens overnight is then it freezes. So it's just like a perpetual cycle of misery where it melts just enough so that the plows could hit it, but if the plows don't hit it and put salt down, it's going to freeze right back up overnight. And even with salt, it will still refreeze because the water table is really high, and it's a mess. DC is a mess. I don't know who thought it was a great place to build anything on, but it is the stupidest place in the country to build anything because it's a mess. Like the natural elements there are a mess. And so then you put trains underneath the ground. Stupid. Stupid, stupid. Anywho, look at this. Amazon's face gender recognition identified Michael and what's a male name for, let's see. We got Michael. I say Sean. Michael and Sean as male. And of course, great follow here. Christ Paleo FBA. Um, he said, "Yes, so did I. I got told I have white beauty standards several times because I said Michael wasn't attractive back in the day. I'm like, firstly, my mom was 25% Irish, feminine, red bone, so even my baseline for what a woman should look like isn't even close to looking like Michael. Secondly, there are attractive women who are black, and don't have Michael's hyper male features. Sorry, but Barry married a man. which some of us already know. But the fact that the facial recognition software identifies a man as a man, that is going to be a controversy. So watch out for that to change very, very soon. And I said, don't forget Serena, Sean. I mean, Sean. Uh, oh, Sean. Sean also has very, very masculine features. How that person bore a child is a little bit confusing to me, but drugs will do that to you. Here we go. TDS. Now, there are people like myself who are on the fence about Boss Man Don. However, it's not because I have TDS, it's because of the stuff that he did and did not do when he had the opportunity to. Those are my issues. These people with TDS don't like to see the man because he's orange or whatever, and it's a little bit weird. So, of course, fabulous comic, political comedian, artist, Ben Garrison got it right on this one, as he usually does. He's been spot on very recently, so congratulations to him. Okay, let's take a look at this meme. Did mask mandates work? Did jabs work? Let's do it again. Yeah, like this is how these people are. Like, I also heard fun facts. People are lined up all around the city to get tested for um, the virus. And my old man was just saying that, people are catching it while they're standing in line, but they're using it as like something to do, to go out and to be seen. It's like anything in DC. Like at first it's like, oh, you have to do it. Then people just sort of use it to be able to get out and be seen, to see what people are doing, to talk about what people are doing, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, this is a giant a mess. Anyway, Bobby Pitton, who has been exposing the crown influence in all of these things. And so he is the only politician I would endorse. And if I dig up some change, I will donate to him. He's the only one. Nobody else is talking about the crown, the monarchy, nothing. The fact that the monarchy controls the CCP, no one's talking about that except Bobby Pitton. And he's running for senator in Illinois. So good luck to him. Um, he says that he just posted a repost. Uh, he says that his message is different from Trump's. It is that we, the people, living out God's will, that will change everything. It's we, the people, living out God's will that will change everything. Everyone, not one person or persons, has to stand up and utilize the gifts God has bestowed upon them. It is knowing that I am not alone in this battle for freedom that gives me the strength to keep fighting for liberty and justice for all. The funny part about this is one of the conversations I've been having. If you've been following my feed, I was going to a church, and then I found out I couldn't join the church because I'm not married. Um, and so I just been going back and forth with that. Like, I'm not going to submit to the government my personal information that I don't have to. I'm just not. So that being said, I've been going back and forth about whether I should, talk to my old man about it or whatever. And I haven't really, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, but it was sort of like in a different context. So, but one of the things that I've been thinking about with that is that if you have such a limited selection for those who can join, then you're also limiting the selection of those who can identify with the people who have problems. So, like me, my population that I like is teen moms. I wasn't a teen mom. Um, at all, but that's a population, my very first population I worked with. I worked in a foster care group home with teen moms. That was my first job out of college, and I was a young mom. And so I could identify with these girls, and I still can identify with them in a lot of stuff that is going on with their lives. I'm always advocating for that. And I feel like if you have such a limited acceptance of who can come in and join and try and figure out how they can make their life better, um, then you are also limiting the people that will come looking for help, because nobody's going to go somewhere looking for help amongst people who can't identify with them. And if my thing has always been for young black people is to be stable. Let's get stable first. Black uh, people are very unstable because if you've seen Cliff High's video, which we'll probably talk about that because I did a long post with some commentary, a lot of history has been erased, but black history has been doubly erased because when Barry got into office, they restarted black history in 2009, which basically means there's no black history prior to 2009. So not only have they erased our history from reconstruction until 2009, then all the history before reconstruction was also erased. So we have black people have the least understanding of history of all people, which is another reason why I get into arguments with lots of black people, because their history starts with their grandparents. Well, I know my history back to the Revolutionary War. I'm a little bit different, but it's not unusual, for people who are from the original 13 colonies. That's just the way it is. A lot of my people know their history that far back, and people who are from where I'm from, they also know their history, which is why you have this whole bloodline thing and whatever going on. People know their history. So the problem is when you have these people who are not from the original 13 colonies, and maybe they did come in or come from their people originated from places where their history was erased, and then they were basically plopped on a field and told to do cotton and whatever. Then they don't have a sense of their own history. Their history pretty much starts with whatever urban area they landed in because of how things happen with Reconstruction, if they can even go back to Reconstruction, because a lot of these blacks are new blacks, meaning their parents came over in the 70s or something from Jamaica or from Africa or whatever, and that's when they, as I speak about often, they combined all people with dark skin into one race, which is completely insane. Okay, I have nothing in common with a West Indian black. I don't. I have nothing in common with a British black like Zuby. I have nothing in common with him. Why are you lumping me together with these people? I'm a native black. Okay, so these are quite a few of the problems that when you're talking to people in the black community, they can't even wrap their heads around, because they don't even understand that they don't know history, because all of the history starts with in 2009, which is a mess, by the way. With people who are not black, which is, I mean, people are complaining about history being overwritten. Oh no, look at black history and how it's taught to black people. Then you will see the overwriting of history. It's insane. So, anyway, Bobby Pitton, I cannot probably talk about this, but as always, I recommend Gabriel's Horn. If you want to know the truth about what's going on, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you go to aimfortruth.org and you will find more truth than your favorite researcher will ever discuss, because none of my favorite researchers discuss their research, and I find it to be grotesque at this point. But anyway, so monoclonal antibodies, what is that? What actually is that? Nobody knows. I don't like that. So this is what my meme was about, which I also can't discuss. But these people practicing medicine right now, they the things they believe are not things I believe, and how any of them could go to church and proclaim themselves to be a Christian in any way, shape, or form is beyond my understanding. But they do it. Okay, here's a guy running against Dan Crenshaw. My girl Donnie the Don, fabulous follow. She still pokes about on Twitter, so wish she would just do Gab exclusively, but I understand. Jamison Ellis is running against Dan Crenshaw. So let's definitely look into him. Hopefully, give him some support. I'm waiting for him to do a few more things on Gab so I can see what's going on. But all you Crenshaw people, can we get rid of him, please? Thank you. He's in that same group. Oh, we'll get to that. Okay, look, some great news from Reuters. So don't whatever mute me because this is from Reuters. U.S. judge blocks Pentagon from pushing Navy SEALs who refuse jabs. So, I never understood. I mean, I understand like wanting to purge the military. I got that. But pissing off Navy SEALs and Marines seems like a really bad idea. I know some Marines. Okay. I don't think I know any Navy SEALs, but I definitely know some Marines, not the kind of people you want to piss off. They tell them, I had a Marine tell me recently that they tell them once they come out, they need to go into therapy. Literally. I don't understand that. That is crazy. You're really pissing off people who must go to therapy as a part of their rehabilitation, their re-entry into regular life. That's nuts. That's nuts. I just don't understand why you want to piss these people off. Okay, listen, now this is crazy. This person um, gives the jab to a son's friend without parents' consent during visit to her house. How how does she get the jabs to give out? Like, I want someone to explain that to me. When I saw this story yesterday, I couldn't understand it because aren't you supposed to be, isn't the facility administering the jabs supposed to have some kind of license? Like, so what's the difference between those people administering the jabs and people giving out heroin? Like, I'm not really understanding where the line is now, and I think that that's part of the point. They want everybody to sort of be grouped together, and I think that's really bad. Like, really, really bad. So I really hope that something comes from this, like they do something about this type of stuff, because that's not really something that should be occurring at all. So yeah, this woman just gives the jab to a son's friend. Weird. Okay, listen. This guy, Dr. Malone, if he was a part of a group that created the mRNA technology, okay? He is not the sole inventor, okay? And so why did it take 35 years and two jabs for him to finally become a hero? I have a theory about all of this. We'll see if I get to it. If it doesn't come back up on the timeline, I'll definitely get to it as my last thought. But where does this guy come from? Like, why didn't he say something when this all started, before he got the two jabs, anything? It was only after he had a serious side effect that he started talking about this type of stuff. And the whole timing of it is suspect. The whole rise to fame is suspect. Going on Rogan, suspect. All of it is suspect. So I don't know exactly what that is whole thing is about, but I just don't buy it. Plain and simple. So that's what this meme says. Tyler, Coach is cool. Great follow on the Blab, y'all. Okay, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say Stone Toss's name on YouTube, but I'll say it anyway because it's going on Blab TV. Um, I think even the comics that Stone Toss does that are sort of racial in like tone are still hilarious because they're accurate. This is an accurate description of, this is accurate. Okay, it's accurate. This is perfect. This is exactly what it is. Until you have a government, and I just, oh, it just burns me up. Until the government recognizes you, you are not an actual person. That's how people act. That is really wrong. Like really wrong. And this is like my problem with, you know, okay, just the whole government thing. Like, the government is not a party to your birth. You give birth. This, I'm telling you, this burns me up to no end. You give birth. The government is not a party to your birth. Okay? They shouldn't be. This whole social security number and all of this tracking that they can do to legal residents, but they refuse to do it to invaders coming across the border and through the airports and everywhere else is insane. It's completely insane. And until people get their minds wrapped around this, it's just going to be a mess. Historical lies exposed. This is also a great follow. I talked to her for a little bit on the chat, and this person is a great person to follow if you are at all questioning some of the history that's forced down our throats. Where if you question even one moment of it, you're considered an anti-Semite. That's their particular realm of research. So she posts a lot of great stuff about that. Okay, look now. Here we go. This person, I can't even remember his name. But his information has been going all so first it was Fuentes and his whole um let's get the women off of Blab. That pissed off a lot of people. Then all of a sudden, this guy comes out and I don't know if he said something bad about something on Blab, or I don't know what the actual thing was that sparked it all, but they started doing research on him, and he's connected to Cernovich, he's connected to Poso, he's connected to all of these manosphere people, and he is an actual cuck. Like, this is actually a thing with him. And I think I've seen that, particularly the wife likes black men. I don't know about that specifically. That's what I think I heard. But this whole thing is just another one of those things that if you believe any influencers who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're not talking about the truth, these are not people you should listen to because they have been bought and paid, or they're being blackmailed, or their sexual deviancy is what is keeping them afloat, because people with similar sexual deviancies will support people with similar sexual deviancies. That's what they do. If they're not swinging and all this other stuff, which is, a big problem in the black community because it's a big problem. Which is why I think stability is so important, because I see all of these big problems in my community, and I think let's just get stable first, because then once you get married, then you might have a situation like this, which is insane. Okay, let me tell you something. I agree with cast iron being the best medium for cooking. However, when you make yogurt, you need stainless steel, right? I think the problem a lot of people have, without going into too much detail, is that they don't use enough oil. So I use, usually when I cook in something other, in my cast iron, all I have to do is use oil, but I keep my cast iron oiled, so it's no problem. But when I cook in some of my other pans, you have to put butter, some sort of chunky uh, oil, butter. I don't use butter. I use ghee because I make my own, or coconut oil or olive oil, something like that. And you have to spray your thing. So if you don't do both, your stuff is going to stick. And then keep your heat down low. Like if you don't want your stuff to burn, but you don't know how fast it's going to cook because everything cooks differently, keep your heat down low, and then as it cooks, turn it up. Or you can also, in most cases, take whatever you're cooking, wrap it up in foil, and put it in the oven and bake it. Like, that's a whole option. But instead, people try and cook stuff too fast. And on cast iron, it's really easy to get it heated up. And then basically you can turn it off, because it's going to carry the heat for a while, especially if you have a glass top stove. The heat stays on, the heating element stays warm as long as there's a thing on it, even when it's off. So your thing will stay warm. But like when you're using stainless steel or the Teflon or anything like that, you have to really watch it and be careful because it gets really hot, and most people just don't spray. Like, use spray, get you some spray. I have if you don't have can't go to your Restaurant Depot or something like that, web restaurant store, restaurant.com. Restaurants, therestaurantstore.com. There you need a subscription, but restaurant web restaurant store, you can get the spray, and they have spray that is soy free, has no soy in it. You can get spray that, I think the one that's soy free is called allergen free. Yes, they have Vegeline allergen free spray, and then it doesn't have soy in it, and it doesn't have most allergens in it. It still has the rapeseed oil, but I'll take rapeseed oil over soy oil, because when you buy vegetable oil, it's mostly rapeseed and soy. So now I actually deep fry in corn oil, which I can get from the depot in big 25-gallon things. Perfect. Corn oil fries. I fried my turkeys in it because my old man is allergic to peanuts. So he's allergic to peanut oil. So I can't fry in peanut oil. And I switched over to corn oil. Um, okay. They're going on a field trip. Great. My school, the kids' school texts me. Super cool. Anyway, get you some Vegeline spray, allergen free. It doesn't have to be allergen free. I just know most people don't want to deal with the soy. It's got rapeseed in it. Doesn't matter. Last you one can. They're big cans. Last like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. It's definitely the high end. I got it from I learned about it when I was working in the bakery. That's what they use. So if you at all care about what they actually use in the restaurants, it actually works, makes things come out perfect every time. Vegeline, I wish I was getting paid for that. That's a great a great endorsement. Vegeline, anyway, allergen free. So anywho, how to return from space when you've never been in the first place. Look at this. They parachuted out of the back of a plane. Okay, great. This is a good little thing. And I learned this a long time ago. If you're trying to figure out what's safe for you to eat, just look at what the animals are eating. A thing that I found out in Florida, more fun Florida facts. If there's a pond or a body of water and you see no birds nearby, 9 times out of 10 there's a gator in there. And if there's a pond of water and there's birds in it, then 9 times out of 10 there's no gators. So if you want to know what has gators and what doesn't, look at what the birds do. They're not going to go somewhere where there's gators because the gators are going to eat them up. And it's the same thing with water, worms, food, all type of stuff. People say, well, how did people know what to eat? Well, they just looked at what the animals were eating. I mean, there was a little bit of a different level of consciousness too, but if you just look at what the animals are eating, then you can pretty safely say that you can eat that. Maybe not truffles, because who knows how they even found truffles. Although dogs can smell truffles. Anywho, look at this. Apu, Pepe's, still love the Wojaks. Just got to get you guys to bust out. Please bust out. Please. Okay. Look at this. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Okay. Get it? Chase waterfalls and do not need to stick to the rivers and the lakes like we used to. Okay, anyway. Inside joke. That's TLC, by the way. Um, the Christianity group on Blab has some really, really great information. Um, the gospel, this post was a good post. I'm still in the group, but look at this. Okay. The free breakfast from Science Club weren't your average bowl of cereal. The boys were being fed Quaker oatmeal laced with radioactive tracers. What is that about? Like, they have been, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to explain to people that whatever they're eating is bad for them. Like, it really is. Like, they do all kinds of stuff to it. You have no idea, and it's less unless it's a company that you trust, you best not do business with them. Now, one of the reasons I like off-brand stuff is because they're not making any money off advertising. So their prices are low and they're basically making their money off selling you a product. All these stuff. I've had a really, really great experience switching to just recently I did their Pop Tarts. Delicious. the toasters, pastries, whatever. Delicious. Like, I was surprised because I never had them. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try, give them a try. Popped them in the toaster. They were amazing. Because I want to make my own, but I don't have time for that right now. Um, oh, shoot, my time is getting up. So, just radioactive tracers in free food. This is why I don't like free food, by the way. I'd much rather pay for it, but I also don't want to overpay. So I go where the rich people eat, and I eat what the rich people eat, or I make it myself. And there's ways you can clean your food by using your own homemade vinegar or lemon juice and lime juice to get it out. But this right here is, I just, mm. Know if I said laws, another fantastic follow on the Blab. Um, Look at this. Trump could have done something about this. I don't give him a pass on this. Both could tell all their followers to get on Gab, but they don't. This is the problem. These people, everybody in conservative grifter world is avoiding Gab, and it's because you will be challenged. People will say things that you don't like. People will do it on purpose just to get you to run away, crying and screaming. There's a literal group on here called the Scalps of Gab, like literally, because these people will scalp you, and you will just be like, oh my gosh, you just implode and delete your account because you really don't get banned, but you can delete your account like Bill Mitchell did because he was getting harassed too much. But all these people going to get her or whatever. I mean, people are now like, oh, Getter is a little suspect. Yeah, because they import your follower account from Twitter. How is that? How is that supposed to work? And don't expect for True Social to be any better because it will not. I will be staying on Blab. I have said it consistently from the beginning. You know, Trump should have just gotten on Blab so he could be communicating and organizing and still fundraising. But now he just has the boomers left. Nobody under age of boomer is going to be supporting a person who's not on Blab. I guarantee you that 2022 is going to be huge. Blab has the broadcasting capabilities with the Blab TV. They have the advertising capabilities. They're going to need all of that. And guess what? They're still going to have to spend their money with Torba. So they should have been cultivating their base online when it mattered. And yet they did not. So they are going to have to figure it out. And MTG, she's not clean either. So I don't really have no oh gosh. Rise of Rod is another great follow. He gets into it with people sometime, which I think is unnecessary, but he's still a great follow. This is just, I when I saw this, I almost died. I literally almost died. Look at this. Um, Stonewall Jackson, another great follow. Does a lot of history. Um, Here we go. We're going to end on this, and it was something I was supposed to talk about. And do you know I forgot? Oh, Cliff High. Oh wait, let me find it. Okay, here we go. So, we have a nice little conversation in the on the timeline sometimes, and 777 is one of the people who likes to engage with people. So I wanted to give him a serious comment about this video. Lumpy Woo is a Cliff High video, um, and I just wanted to make this point about history being erased. So I've been researching for my dissertation, and one of the things I came across was talking about the race riots, like all the different race riots that happened. So after listening to Cliff High's video, I realized that right after the Great Fires that he's talking about, that's when the race riots really started. And from reading about the Chicago race riot and also the Tulsa race riot, I realized that they were going into the homes in every situation, in every race riot. They were going into the homes of the blacks and taking their gold and their silver and their Bibles. And people could, and then burning the house down. Sometimes they would just burn it. Sometimes they would steal the stuff. And if you don't know black history, a lot of it was kept in the churches and especially your family trees were kept in the Bibles. And so if you took the Bible, then you were taking the history, because usually it wasn't that many people who could write and all that stuff. So you're literally taking that family's history when you're taking their Bible. Plus the gold and the silver, it was sort of before the 1929 a lot of these were right before the 1929 bank thing and right after, so that all the whole timeline coincides. And so if people look at Black history to see what happens, they will see they just keep repeating it with different segments of the population until they achieve their goals. Because then they had done this previously, of course, with the Native Americans, and they just go round and round in circles between the different groups until they take everything. The problem they have now is that the internet has made it impossible for them to attack one small group at a time. They can't do it. They have to attack everybody at the same time, because as soon as they started doing that stuff in Australia, people in America saw what was going on and they started to prepare themselves. They were already preparing, but we weren't going to allow our guns to be taken here like they did in Australia. So there was a whole big problem around this, and it continues to be a problem for them, which is why in the UK they have a lot of their internet is not accessible. Torber was talking about this a few months ago. The German government wants them to enforce German laws on German citizens posting on Blab, and he said he's not going to do it. This is a problem for them because the only way they can continue to erase history and also to sneak attack people with what's going on and also make it pit one person against each other is if people don't know the actual history. So I implore people, like, take a little bit of time and just look at some of the Black history stuff. You will be shocked. I mean, of course, look at the history of your own stuff, but for Black people especially, look at Black history stuff. Look at the story of like Carter G. Woodson and Black Negro History Week and how that whole thing came about. Look at George Washington Carver. Look at Booker T. Washington. And look at why they chose the names that they have. A lot of these people, they didn't have last names. They chose their last names. Booker Taliaferro chose the last name Washington. Literally, that's why there's so many Washingtons. That's why there's so many not Lincolns, but like Abrahams or this is just what they did. Like a lot of people took the first name of Abraham, not the last name, but a lot of people took George Washington's last name or George Washington Carver, their whole name. This is what people did. Why would people do this? Unless you understand the history, you will, my white friends, you're doomed to repeat it because you don't know it. At least, when Black people talk about Black Lives Matter, there's a reason for that. And no, not the organization at the top taking all the money and utilizing the Black people as cattle as they've always done, but the people on the grounds working the actual community. For example, something Disclosed TV posted, one of the jails in North Carolina is being closed because of poor conditions. That's what you need to be looking at. Stop worrying about the J6 people. I am 100% convinced that was a psyop, the whole entire thing on both sides, and maybe the people being locked up will be given some sort of financial relief or something like that, whatever, similar to how they're holding Julian Assange hostage. But I think it's some more stuff going on with that than even what they're saying. So don't worry about them. Go down to your local jail. See what the conditions are for prisoners at their local jail. Because I found out the other day that federal prisons treat their prisoners just fine. It's the local jails that treat the prisoners bad. They come out with diabetes and all types of stuff because they don't feed them right. They don't give them the exercise they're supposed to. They don't have the basic things they're supposed to have. So if you're worried about some prisoners, look at your local prisoners. Go and look at your local history while it's still available. Archive.org has a ton of stuff. I was looking at I downloaded a bunch of copies of the Black Almanac, and the way Frederick Douglass was revered in this thing is shocking. Really, really shocking. There's a lot of great information if you just go and look. So anyway, this has been way too long. I did want to bring that up and talk about the importance of going and looking at the history. So, but anyway, look, there was a lot to talk about, shockingly. Very shockingly. Of course, this is your girl, Hotep Sophia, and this has been Good Day Blab. I surely, sincerely hope that you join me back here on Thursday. I'm going to try and set this up to go live on YouTube. I have to see if I remember how to do that. We'll see. We shall see. Um, but of course, go to hotepsophia.com right there on the screen, and you'll figure out how to watch the replays of this. And the links are all there. And thanks so much for supporting me. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. Join us over on the Blab. We'd love to see you. Got a group over there for all my power to the people folks, called Black Blab, where I just try and post the issues and stuff that's related to Black culture, because that's unfortunately where I am, and that's what I can talk about so comfortably. So everybody, have a good day and God bless.